Hey Kev, let's follow this trail over here. This looks like there might be something waiting down there.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I thought it was just me. What the heck is that?
I don't know what that is. Whoa, do you smell that too?
That's unbelievable. Hey, look.
What the?
Hey, look, those branches are moving over there.
What the heck is that?
Holy cow, is that what I think it is? Look at that thing.
Oh my God.
It's a freaking Sasquatch. Welcome to the Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters podcast. My name is W.J. Sheehan, author of the series of books Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters, all of which are available at Amazon in paperback and ebook format. And if you're an audio buff, you can get volumes 1 through 8 at Audible, iTunes, and Amazon as well. Thank you for joining us today, and may I introduce you to my brother and co-host, KJ Sheehan. Kev, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you, Bill?
Marvelous, marvelous. The weather's been fantastic, and I'm just digging on this Indian summer while it lasts.
Oh yeah, it's chilly and sunny here, but it's beautiful. We're welcoming in the fall here in North Carolina.
Yeah, and it's nice to welcome in the fall in the latter part of October.
Exactly. I'm not eager to have to winterize my motorboat in a couple of weeks, but, it comes with the season.
Yeah. Nah, it is what it is. I don't
Move
mind.
on, yeah.
I don't mind resting up for the winter a bit. If you think about it, 150 years ago, the society was predominantly agrarian before the Industrial Revolution. And it was a time for
doing some farming.
Yeah, the farmers kind of had a break from sun up to sundown, when this time of year came in,
Yep, no doubt about it.
So it's an interesting time of year, But look forward to a little winter's rest, whatever that might be. I don't think I ever really rest.
It's just a different season. For me, I'll get back to a little bit of indoor, maybe build a couple of more models this winter, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good time.
A little change of pace.
Yep, it's a good time of year. So what do we have today, bro, for our Cryptids in the News and Other Oddities segment?
Oh, yeah, we're going to the cryptid genre and onto some creepiness. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this one, Bill. This one is very creepy and also a little obscure.
Okay.
It's called the Pope Lick Monster.
Pope Lick Monster?
You heard it correctly.
I might have seen him in Walmart.
No, that's the guy that goes around licking the packages. That's different. But this guy is from Pope Lick, Kentucky.
Okay.
Which is just east of Louisville, Kentucky. Not to be confused with Louisville, Kentucky. It's Louisville.
Careful with your pronunciation.
I know. I'm pointing it out. I've been to Louisville many times. I know how to pronounce it.
Say it right. Louisville.
Here comes the mail now. Bing, 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 bing. But this is a Goatman-like creature, Bill. And I know you enjoy the Goatman.
The point of it is this. Just picture yourself out anywhere, day or night, alone with somebody else, and seeing one of these things with your own two eyes. I mean, I was at a Halloween walkthrough 20 years ago. One of those things where they spook you out and you walk, people jump out at you and all that. And while you were waiting online, there was a guy dressed up as a Goatman. fantastic costume, cloven hoof boots on, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was Hollywood quality. And I'm telling you, man.
And of course, Bill, are you certain he was dressed up?
Yeah, right. Exactly. What if they just hired the guy because he was the real deal and paid him well? But I'm telling
Maybe
you.
with a couple of human lives.
Yeah. Yeah, you could take laundry. He's over here. By the way, I nicknamed that guy Dirty Laundry.
Yeah, so this thing, Bill, is half, rumored to be a human goat hybrid, and also its human-like torso is deformed. So it's a goat from the waist down with the cloven hoofs, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Of course, the goat horns coming out of its head, and kind of a deformed upper torso as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty interesting. So you may recall when I did the story on the Goatman of Texas that haunts the old Alton Bridge in Denton, Texas, right? You remember that one where people come up at midnight and they flash the headlights on their car 3 times, stuff like that, and this Goatman appears. And, he's rumored to be centered around satanic rituals that took place in the woods there. So like a result of some conjuring of sorts. That was a car bridge, an automobile bridge. And this Goatman, the Pope Lick monster, actually haunts a railroad trestle in Pope Lick, Kentucky. And what's interesting is you look at, and I'll put the picture of the bridge, the railroad trestle, up on our website. It looks like it's abandoned, but apparently it's quite an active railroad trestle. So, a few times a day, big freight trains will come across this trestle. And, a handful of people have been killed where they say they were lured up onto this trestle by the Goatman, and the Goatman basically lured them up to get hit by the train or to have to jump off of the trestle because the train was coming, and they, died afterwards.
Damn, what a hideous turn of events that would be, right?
Oh, man. Pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of different discussions of the origin of this creature, right, of this Goatman. It's pretty interesting. So one of them claims that it's the ghost, or what would you call it, Bill? It's not really a ghost because it's kind of a physical thing, from a farmer who sacrificed goats in exchange for satanic powers.
Wow.
Back in the day.
Wow.
So here's this local farmer. He's killing goats and making deals with the devil. Okay. So not hard to believe that he's back there haunting the trestle, right?
Someday, Kev, it just dawned on me, if we can remember to do so, we need to check out when we're talking about this farmer killing goats, we need to look into the origins of why goat horns and goat heads are associated with Satanism. They're always seen. When you see that, you're talking about the Goatman and deals with the devil, and it's a prevalent thing to see a set of goat horns and a skull in association with that type of activity. Maybe we could get to the bottom of how and when that became part of that whole deal.
No, very cool. I made a note here, so if any of you audiophiles out there were listening to me writing, don't write in to tell me about listening to me writing. I was just writing a note to make our future podcast even better. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So the one rumor is it's so I think that's cool, Bill. I have no idea, but you are right. The typical image of Satan, his horns are kind of goat-like, indeed.
Yeah, and a lot of these followers Why you would follow that is beyond me, but a lot of followers have them mounted on their walls or imagery of those associated with that creep.
So you're saying if I walk into somebody's house and they have a goat head with goat horns on the wall, I should head the other way, huh?
Yeah, maybe good idea not to form a long-term friendship with that individual.
not to stay and play a little Ouija board or anything like that.
Yeah, these are some of the warning signs.
Maybe the pentagram etched into the granite on the floor when you enter the house with the burnt down candle stubs around it. Generally not good.
It's like if you're a vacuum cleaner salesman and you approach the front door of a house and they have a little sign that says, every third salesman gets shot, 2 were here already. Might not be a good idea to
and the third one is handed to the Goatman at the Halloween fair. So the one story is this farmer, right, making a deal with the devil. So this other story is pretty darn interesting, Bill. So the story goes that there was this circus freak, back in the days of the circus freak shows.
Yeah.
That was kind of a half man and half goat. And he was on a train coming along in this trestle, and that the train crashed there, and then he's been seeking his vengeance against, the human society as this half goat, half man monster of sorts. You got to love some of these stories, right?
Yeah. What is with the train and the circus train and the gorillas having escaped all over the country and become Bigfoots, and the Goatman freak crashes in the train and now he's running around the countryside? What about the conductor or the engineer? Why aren't they running around?
They get paid. They were paid more than the Goatman, so they're a little less vengeful, apparently.
Yeah, the weird things always escape and rampage the countryside. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I mentioned the fact that several people have died, right? So looking for the Poplik monster. And one of them was on April 23rd, 2016. A 26-year-old tourist from Ohio died after being hit by a train while searching for the monster. And she was there with her boyfriend, and he is rumored to have survived by hanging on the side of the trestle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's how
they say, like the railroad officials from the Norfolk Southern Railway, they get upset about the whole legend, of course, because people come out and climb up on this trestle. And it is an active railway trestle. It's also pretty high, too, and it's pretty long. And they talk about the fact that Louisville is a freight train hub. So, even if you thought you could hang off of this trestle, which is, most people, right, don't have the strength to hang from the trestle, that it would probably take like 7 to 10 minutes for the train to go by. Mm-hmm. So, you got to be some kind of gymnast to be hanging from a railroad trestle for 7 to 10 minutes.
Well, I guess the sight of the train going above you would help you to hold on a little bit.
Help you to hold on a little bit. The alternative is clear.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just muster up a little more and just hang in there.
Yeah. Oh, and then going back a little further, in 1988, a 17-year-old young man was hit and killed by the train, and another man was injured while trying to cross the trestle at the same time. So, they were up there, and they think it's clear, and then the train's coming, and you're in the middle of the trestle. Right.
You know what, Kev, I realize you said that some of these people felt like they were lured up there.
Yeah.
But who knows what their involvement may have been with the occult that brought them to this place, because I certainly would not be lured up there.
Absolutely.
That in conjunction with our entire lives, we've been told, don't walk on the railroad tracks, things of that ilk. So when you get to the point where you just ignore things, I mean, trouble is coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Bill, like you're saying, it's interesting. We didn't talk about this. You didn't know what I was going to talk about. And folks, if you're new to the podcast, Bill's up in Long Island, New York. I'm down in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're doing this over Skype each week. So he doesn't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know what he's going to talk about. And, when you talk about having that innate fear of walking on the train tracks, I wouldn't even walk on a regular train track today.
Yeah.
Even for like 10 yards, thinking I would get my foot stuck or something when there was a train coming, let alone walk across an elevated trestle,
right?
That's several hundred feet long, knowing that, it's pretty likely you could get caught out there because it is an active train track.
Yeah, and you can't
crazy.
You can't exactly sprint on a trestle. You'd have to watch what you were doing, even if you heard something coming.
Especially when if you were in a panic.
Yeah.
Like, geez.
Yeah, not me, man. At best, you'd be walking slowly across that trestle, looking down over the edge and watching the timbers and everything else. It's not a good situation.
No.
Oy.
And then a couple more folks, there's a record of them dying in 1994. A guy was riding his ATV across the trestle and was killed by a train. So even on an ATV, he couldn't get away from it. And in 2000, a 19-year-old fell to his death after encountering a train.
Wow.
So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, very.
It's a creepy thing. It is a creepy thing. The whole Goatman phenomena just reeks of evil. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's beyond my understanding why people get involved in these things. Just think about it, Kev. You're not going to walk up to this trestle and suddenly be lured. Something is not right there with you or your lifestyle. There's something else connected with that.
Yeah. I get lured into a burger joint once in a while.
Yeah, by the smell. The old
man, those burgers smell good.
And they taste even better.
It might be bad for my cholesterol and all, but I'm not going to get hit by a train.
That you know of.
I know, and I'm still hesitant to wander in. So what do you think, Bill, as we wrap up this segment here of Cryptids in the News and Other Oddities? You think it's the circus clown freak that fell off of the train way back when that haunts the bridge, or you think it might be the farmer that was sacrificing goats to get satanic powers, or something else? What's your guess?
I think it's probably who the farmer had conjured up in his activities, who or what.
Yes.
This is the residual, just like most evil that people encounter. They have all kinds of reasons regarding what they think these things are or who they are. All of these things are the result of ongoing evil activity, drawing in or pulling in entities from the dark side. And in areas where this was ongoing, they have no reason to leave. They come by invitation only, and you've invited them.
Exactly.
And they come in a lot easier than they go, my friends. So keep that in mind if you've got, the mindset that you're going to get involved in this stuff.
Yeah, they come in. What you bring into the party.
That's right. Be careful who you invite. Boy, that is creepy, man. The Pope Lick Goatman.
There you go. Pope Lick Bridge in Pope Lick, Kentucky.
Wow. That's freaking
I won't be going out to see that trestle nor the bridge in Texas, just to be clear.
It is creepy. You sure that Pope Lick is not in Oregon?
It's not even in Oregon.
Hey,
But good stuff, Bill. And speaking of creepiness, we're a week away from Halloween.
yeah, we got
So, Bill, get your Halloween episode ready, because I'm ready.
Yeah, let's just say as a little teaser, I'm inviting a little boy to the party.
Ooh.
And we'll leave it at that for now.
Okay.
Yep.
Hopefully he doesn't have goat horns.
No, but I'm inviting one of your favorite kids to the party.
Okay.
By the way, I'd like to say happy birthday. I never do this. And people send little trinkets in and things here and there. Kev, next time you're in town, one of our listeners, Greg, sent us a pair of Dogman beer cans.
Nice.
Some type of, what do they call these brews that people make around the country now? There's a name for them.
Oh, microbrew.
Yeah, like a microbrewery with Dogman on the front of the can. Unfortunately, Greg poked a couple of nail holes in the bottom and drained the beer out.
Oh, I was going to say, hopefully they're full.
Yeah, well, no, Greg apparently drank them.
He was trying to save on shipping, apparently.
Yeah, sent us the empties. And another listener named Casey just sent us a couple of bumper stickers, Kev. Guess what they say?
Goatman is out there.
Always carry more gun than you think you're going to need.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
You got to love that. You got to love that. And a happy birthday to Jason. I'm not going to let on what is coming Jason's way, but his wife was in contact with me, and a very happy birthday to Jason.
Very cool. All right, Bill. So what do you have today for us?
Well, this is I love all Bigfoot encounters, and the amount of encounters that come in and what people are seeing out there, it's really hard to deny. I mean, anybody can deny, right? You could deny 1,000 times. In my case, that's what I'd have to do to believe that there wasn't a Bigfoot creature roaming around North America and globally, because the amount of reports coming in is just ridiculous. And this was told to me by a fellow named Nicholas Obratsov, a resident of the great state of Tennessee and a transplant from the old Soviet Union.
Whoa.
He's a physicist and was quite the skeptic until the day of his own encounter. An encounter that you, my friends, will soon hear about. And this is what Nicholas had to share. And by the way, you're finally going to hear the account out of which I have spoken many times about the Russian dialect. This is what he said. My good friend, Hector Jimenez, just happens to be the landscaper at my home. Some might say, how is it that a physicist befriends a laborer? I will answer that question quite succinctly. Over time, in conversing with Hector at my home, I found that he had a great interest not only in all things plant-related around the house, but with everything found in the forest as well. He, having no formal education whatsoever, other than what he had self-taught himself in the course of being a landscaper, had given me more than a run for my money through the years, with his wealth of knowledge that he possessed in regards to all things botanical. Having had many invaluable conversations with him over time and knowing him to be fit as a fiddle, at some point the two of us became engaged in regular forest hikes together as a somewhat leisurely activity in a form of staying fit. And so the bond of landscaper and physicist was formed. Over a period of about 15 years, Hector and I have been through just about every square mile of the Great Smoky National Park in the Natala National Forest. Hope I pronounced that okay. I would be willing to wager, if it could be proven, that the two of us have hiked thousands of miles together between the two wildernesses. So this is two locations, Great Smoky National Park and the Natala National Forest. In the summer of 2015, we had made our way over to the Klingman's Dome observation tower. From there, we were scoping out some promising areas in the region of the Little River's tributaries. The following weekend, we hiked into the area coming from the Newfound Gap Road in the area of Chimney Tops and immediately found ourselves in the midst of an extremely rigorous hike through the timber. Our plan for the day was to hike until we hit water, and then to follow what we had found until we ran out of time. Our typical day hike involves allowing ourselves enough time to get in and out of where we are, including the possibility of one of us turning an ankle or the like, which has actually happened. You don't want to be stuck in the forest at night. Good advice. We were about 3 hours into the hike when we heard a tremendous crash of a tree falling to the ground to our southwest. After hearing it, we decided to alter our plan to that of finding the tree that had fallen. So we commenced to hike in that direction. We had walked about another mile when we heard yet a second tree come crashing down, followed by what sounded like a loud conversation in a foreign dialect. Now, you know, Bill, that I am from Russia. To me, it sounded like one of the Siberian dialects, of which I do not speak, nor do I understand. Hector and I, being uncertain as to just what we may be walking into, started to move much more slowly and yet nevertheless stayed the course to find those who were talking. After stalking for what must have been another 100 yards, this jabbering conversation was getting ever louder. Suddenly, we saw a huge black creature moving just ahead of us, and the two of us simultaneously dropped to our knees behind some bushes. This beast had walked behind maybe 6 or 7 trees and seemed to be talking as it did so. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, it had moved out of our sight. We were astonished at what we had just seen. It was unmistakably a large bipedal giant, covered in brown fur and the size of an ox. I can tell you that it was all of 4 meters tall and better than a meter in breadth. It had the physique of a massive bodybuilder, and we had no desire to know how it was felling trees. For fear of our very lives, Hector and I immediately started to retreat, not knowing how we would be greeted should we be found out by this beast and its cohort. As we backtracked, we could hear two very distinct voices, one being higher pitched than the other in its tone. They were making so much noise between the speech and the rustling of the timbers that we had no fear of being heard as we retreated from our position. It was obvious to us that they were not expecting any company in these woods and were doing nothing to quiet themselves in any way. Some may say, "Why didn't you stay to see more and to listen to them?" To which I would retort, unless you wanted to die, there would be no reason to stay. We were so frightened by the sight of one monster that we did not need to see a second. All we wanted to do was get away, and quickly. In Russia, we have a saying similar to that which I have heard in this country. I will believe it when I see it. Well, that day I had moved from being skeptical about the creature known as Bigfoot to becoming a full-on believer, having now seen one with my very own eyes. Besides the actual sighting, the most amazing aspect was that of the spoken language between them. There was a distinct back and forth, like two old washwomen, going on between them the entire time we were near to them. To date, it was the most incredible event of my lifetime. What do you think of that, Kev?
Holy moly.
Smart guy,
That's
right?
crazy, Bill.
Smart,
yeah, physicist, right?
Smart guy, though. Unless you want to die, there'd be no reason to stay. I mean, that's what I've been preaching since we started this podcast.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, let's get a little closer and say hi. Can you imagine? I know there was a lot of language in there about all of these locations. And by the way, if any of our listeners, Tennesseans, know anything about this area, Klingman's Dome Observation Tower.
What do you mean the Tennesseans? I've been to Klingman's Dome.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've been to Smoky Mountain National Forest and Nantala National Forest.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been hiking around there. I haven't seen the Russian-speaking Bigfoot, though.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes you wonder. That whole thing about some saying these creatures migrated over the land bridge before the two continents was separated, Could it be that this is some Yeti that, picked up on some linguistics from that end of the world? Who the heck knows? I mean, it's a really bizarre circumstance,
But it does get to the point, Bill, like whether you're a diehard believer or a skeptic, if there is a creature like Bigfoot out there, there has to be more than one, right? Because they have to breed and that, across whatever environment they're living in or environments they're living in. Yeah. And then they probably have a way of communicating with one another. Not necessarily a spoken word, but some way to communicate.
Yeah, well, you have that fella that got those recordings many years ago. His name slips me, but he recorded that chatter outside of their camp, this back and forth. And it sure as heck did sound like a little bit of an argument between perhaps, husband and wife or, in our terms.
Yep, no doubt about it.
It's hard. Look, I even hear the animals in the yard jibber-jabbering back and forth. The raccoons have this little... Who knows what they get out of that or they glean out of that. But they're definitely, shouting or reprimanding or directing Otherwise, they wouldn't
Maybe
make it.
maybe even talking about you watching them and listening to them.
Yeah, get a load of this dope over there. Why don't we go bite him? What do you say to three
Whoa,
of...
is that a gun? Is that a gun he's holding?
What do you say the three of us go up on the deck and bite him? Yeah, so that's it, man. That was actually the Great Smoky sighting. And, interesting, huh? How the scientific community is always clamoring for proof and evidence. Yet when you listen to them talk, they take tremendous leaps describing the beginning of the universe and everything,
Yep.
After the Great Bang, 30 million years later, this happened. Then 80 million years after that, this happened. Where do you get these figures from? And this.
So I was going in a different direction, Bill. I thought it was the start of a good joke. A physicist and a landscaper walk into the forest.
Yeah. So I says to him.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's it, man. A great account, and here's another guy from his own lips, skeptical until it happened to me.
No doubt about it. Yeah, cool stuff.
Yep.
All right, well, we got some good listener mail this week, Bill. I mean, we always do, but we got some pretty cool stuff to talk about.
All right.
So the first email comes in from someone named Avid Listener.
Great
I hope
name.
I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, great name, Avid.
Avid. All right, so Avid wrote in, and I know you saw this one, Bill, about the tree-shaking drone footage.
Yeah.
And he writes, "Hi, Bill and Kevin. Huge fan of your podcast and all things Bigfoot. I came across this tree-shaking drone clip on Instagram and found it fascinating and thought you guys might be interested. And a second link he's sending, which I'll post on our website under this episode 122, is from a YouTuber that does some amateur analysis on this tree-shaking drone footage. So did you get a chance to see this, Bill?
Yeah, no, there was a couple of emails with a couple of clips from that tree shaking.
Yep.
Did you see the one where, and I to me it sounded like the same guy that narrated that one in Yellowstone where the Bigfoots were sneaking around in the snow behind the trees by the buffalo?
Oh, yeah.
It sounded like that same guy's voice who was narrating, his belief that those were real Bigfoot stalking the buffalo and that this was real Bigfoot shaking these trees. So I don't know. Let's.
Yeah, I didn't make that connection, but I get it. Yeah. So and folks, I'll post this, like I said, but it's basically drone footage, very clear, from probably 200 feet above the treetops, maybe 300 feet above the treetops, and you expect to see, or I expected to see, just a tree shaking a little bit. It's broad daylight, and you see this tree that's probably, my guess would be 50 or 60 feet tall, and it's shaking like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Like not from the wind, not from the way you or I could shake it, Bill. I mean, a machine or something with superhuman strength would have to be shaking this. And the video goes on for a minute or so, and there's no sign of anything around it. I mean, I did wish, if it was me flying the drone, I would have went in closer for a closer look, and they didn't, which makes me a little suspicious, of course. But from the distance, as this tree is whipping back and forth, making a space in the canopy for you to see around it, I don't see anything there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there couldn't be a creature there at the trunk of the tree, but I don't see a piece of heavy equipment there.
Yeah, and then they show the tree walking off. Did you see that portion of it?
I didn't see that. No,
Yeah,
what do you mean walking off?
Well, look at it again. When one of the trees that gets torn down, you see it go kind of marching away into the trees next to it, like
I didn't see that.
Yeah, standing upright, it kind of starts plowing through the standing trees alongside of it. Like it was
maybe I did see that because I thought that was just part of the ridiculous motion of the tree.
Yeah, no, it actually moves from where it got taken and goes off like somebody carrying out a giant Christmas tree upright.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
You know, Kev, and I hate to even enter into this because I don't want to become part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. But the crazy things that people are doing with CG today, it's really difficult to, without the proper tools and the time to dissect these things.
Fair, yeah.
You know, to say, is this legit or not? It's certainly entertaining to watch it, and you don't see a big piece of equipment in there. There's no room in the picture for a large piece of equipment.
Right.
And no equipment with a boom or an arm on it would be thrashing back and forth in the way that thing was. You know, hydraulics don't work that way.
No, I agree.
So
agree 100%. Yeah, but pretty wild. I mean, I don't know. It could be CGSI. Could be anything really. But pretty interesting. I'll post the video. You take a look at it, folks. It'll be under episode 122, like I mentioned, under episodes on our website, BigfootTerrorInTheWoods.com.
Yeah, and
all right, Bill.
Kev,
go ahead.
I knew somebody named Avi once, but this is the first person I've ever met named Avid.
I agree with you. Avi, is a very popular Israeli name, by the way.
It is.
Yeah. It's like that and Shlomo, believe it or not, are like John or Joe in English. So
absolutely.
It's very common. Avi, but not Avid. Maybe there's a typo. Maybe it was Avi D listener.
Yeah, that would be more correct.
Like a middle initial. All right, our next letter, Bill, comes in from Hal in California. And he says, Dear Kevin and Bill, love your shows and have read volumes 1 through 8. He says, your sound system and mixer are great, as it sounds like you're both in the same studio and sitting right next to each other. My compliments to you, Kevin, on your great aircraft modeling, as your weathering on your planes is outstanding and realistic. And then so thank you for all those compliments there, Hal. And now Hal moves on to talk about, I've spent some time up around Bend, Oregon. And folks, if you don't know where Bend is, it's on the eastern side of the great state of Oregon. Notice how I pronounced it. And it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's a very rural place. Of course, Bend is the biggest city in eastern Oregon, to my knowledge. But the general area is very rural, just outside of Bend. And he says he spent a lot of time up around Bend, and while there, did a lot of exploring of the lava tube caves in that area. And he writes, have you had any hairy man sightings that you know of in Bend, Oregon? And so we'll get back to that in a minute. He says, while in one cave, my wife and I ended up near the back of the cave where the tube narrowed and noticed fresh, large mountain lion tracks going into the back of the cave. While I marveled at how clear and crisp the tracks were, my wife slapped me and pointed out that the tracks were going into the cave and there were no tracks coming out of the cave. Smart woman, by the way.
Yeah.
She let me know that the lion was likely in the back of the cave, and we had apparently been driving it toward the back of the cave as we were walking through the cave, and that it was probably back there waiting for us.
Nice.
We boogied out of there real quickly. It occurred to me that if these caves can support mountain lions, they certainly could support the hairy man.
Hello.
Also, as there is year-round ice in some of these caves and apparently abundant game in the area, there's plenty here to support the the hairy man if he were to live here.
Yeah, amazing.
And he writes, I used to hope to see squats someday, but after reading Bill's books, I hope I never see one. 97% of the sightings are benign, but the other 3% are terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I have an aversion to two things. One, peeing in my pants in public. Two, peeing in my pants in private. If I saw a Squatch, I'm sure one or the other would happen. Best regards and keep up the good work, Hal in California. And Hal, to answer your question, we have heard of some accounts in Eastern Oregon for sure. And then there's also been some pretty famous cattle mutilation reports out in Eastern Oregon in the Bend area as well.
Yeah. I spoke to Hal, Kev, really nice guy.
Oh, cool.
And, our listeners, we have a fantastic clan of listeners, ever growing. And, Kev and I tell you all the time, if you've seen something, say something. You can contact us at BigfootTerrorInTheWoods.com. Hit the contact link. Leave a message, say hello, or tell me what you've seen, and I'll get back to you. We can talk about it. Hal was a really good guy, and a lot of the people I talked to, excellent people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And good sense of humor there, Hal, too, which we appreciate.
How about going in this cave, though, Kevin, seeing the prints of the mountain lion?
Oh, yeah, not hard to believe at all. Those mountain lion, they are out there, and they are sneaky critters.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Very stealthy.
And certainly, why wouldn't a Bigfoot or any creature want to take advantage of instant shelter?
Yeah.
You want to get in, get warm, lay down. How about our dogs, Kev, when they go to crawl under the bed to lay down?
Yep.
They didn't create that. They know it's a place. They go in there, and that's a place they feel safe and
yeah, it's their place.
That's
they can be a little secure in there.
Yeah. So why
At
wouldn't
least feel
any?
a little secure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, animals would go into lava tubes or cave systems.
Sure, no doubt about it. Well, Bill, we have another email that came in. We can't get enough of Andre the Giant and the $6 Million Man. I can't get enough of them, but this one is great. It talks about more of the history around it, and this is from Rob in Oklahoma. And Rob wrote in, he said, when I was 11 or 12, I loved the $6 Million Man. Yes, Andre the Giant did indeed play Bigfoot on the show first. In later episodes, Ted Cassidy, who was also Lurch on the Addams Family, played Bigfoot. So they both did play it, and we've confirmed that since we first heard about it. But this is a new fact coming in here, which I hadn't heard about, and I have since read about. Mr. Cassidy, a.k.a. Lurch, also played Bigfoot on some crossover episodes of The Bionic Woman. Not sure why Andre stopped playing the big guy on the show. Maybe he had wrestling commitments. But get this, Bill. Andre's Bigfoot was an android created by aliens to keep curious folks away from their mountain fortress. So that kind of makes sense because, when in that clip that I posted on our website a couple episodes ago, you see the $6 Million Man tearing his arm off and sparks fly, right? Like it's a robot.
Yeah.
But then Rob writes that Cassidy's Bigfoot version was the same, except when the aliens left Earth to return home, they left Bigfoot in a cave hooked up to a machine that would change him into a flesh and blood creature over time. Somehow, I've long since forgotten the circumstances. Bigfoot was awoken early, and the transformation process was only half complete. So Cassidy's Bigfoot was half machine and half flesh and blood.
Huh.
Yeah. And also, supposedly, this creature was in great pain because it was woken up that way, and it made him run amok, which was where Steve Austin and Jamie Summers, a.k.a. the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, came in to save the day. So fantastic background on that.
Yeah, and my question is, why didn't they put a value on the bionic woman?
Yeah, I know. It's the first early days of discrimination between the sexes. Apparently.
$6 million man and the bionic woman.
The bionic woman. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's a good point.
Oh, man. It is crazy, Kev, how out of a simple conversation, all of these people are chiming in about Andre the Giant and the bionic man, And now Ted
and
Cassidy.
The stuff is out there. It's great. Like, the internet is great for many things, but the fact you can go and watch these episodes in full for free.
Yeah.
Like that one I posted from the NBC.com site of Andre the Giant and the $6 Million Man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It is really special, all the stuff you can just run into, and just like click on it and be done with it. It's a remarkable thing.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Bill. Well, that's it this week for listener mail. Sorry, not viewer, listener mail. I got caught up watching these clips on YouTube. I thought we had viewers for a minute there. Listeners. But thanks a lot, folks. Thanks for all those 5-star reviews, too. Please give us a 5-star review if you haven't given us one lately, or if you've never given us one. Those 5-star reviews are virtually the only means we have of attracting new listeners to the podcast. And by getting new listeners to the podcast, we're able to continuously improve the quality of the podcast and maintain our weekly schedule as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, folks. It's a pleasure to come to you on a weekly basis. We do our best to put together a quality show each time we come to the plate. And by the way, if you should be like Hal or anyone else wandering around the lava tubes in Oregon, you better remember just one thing, my friends. Always carry more gun than you think you're going to need. Sleep tight.